everybody. That was wonderful. It was so beautiful. Let's see. We'll talk a little bit about the Bob that I knew, about the man and the friend. I met Bob back in the summer of 1975 when he was in the band Cathedral, and in Margate. They were playing at the Nickelodeon, and I was working as a waitress in the pizza restaurant across the street. And that band used to love to come over and eat pizza on the break and drink coffee. So they weren't drinkers, they weren't sitting there drinking beer, or, you know, they would come over, and that's where Bob and I met. And we started dating, and he had this really great car. It was a red Camaro. I loved it. And he used to let me drive it because I lived down there all summer, and he would go home and, you know, for a couple days at a time, and he would let me have the car and drive it. And I love that car. So I have a lot of good memories from that. And, you know, when you have a summer romance, I just graduated from high school at the time, and you kind of think, oh, after the summer, you know, you might go your separate ways, but that didn't happen. We kept seeing each other, and so we had this very serious conversation in September. After the summer was over, we'd gone back home. He lived in Southwest Philadelphia, his parents' house, and I lived in Roslyn, in Abington at the time. So we were at Dunkin' Donuts. He loved coffee, so we were at Dunkin' Donuts, and he said, you know, do you know how old I am? And I said, well, you know, it's kind of funny that you asked that, because I remember you kind of telling me you're 24, and then another time I thought you said you were 25. So it was like, okay. So he said, I'm 30, and I had just turned 18. And I said, 30? That's so old. But of course it wasn't, and we kept dating, and, you know, and life went on. So I was able to open my mind, because he was always so young. I mean, when you look at those pictures in there, I mean, you know, it's like time stands so still with him for so many years. And he was always so young at heart, you know, for sure. And so it was, let's see, I would say it was a few years later, and our relationship changed from boyfriend-girlfriend to friends. And, you know, I was meeting several people that I've met in the last few weeks with Bob being in hospice. There are all these names that I've heard many times him talk about with all the great stories he would tell. And now I finally got to meet them. And there were several old girlfriends. We all kind of got to meet each other, you know. And that was a real gift that Bob had. He could stay in touch and stay friends with, you know, his old girlfriends throughout time. And they were all coming there for him, you know, because there was so much love there. So that was really cool, too. And I remember another transition that Bob made in his life when he left being in a band, which he was in for so many years, different bands, and you see the beautiful pictures there, when he became a DJ. And he was quite shocked, because when he would come down, you know, from the stage, playing the records and so forth, and he would, you know, go up to some few girls and talk to them, and they were like, who are you? You know, what were you talking to us for? And it was a real shock to him, because when he was in the band, and he would come down off the stage and talk to some girls, and all like, oh, you're in the band, oh, hi, nice to meet you. And he said, sure, I thought they all really liked me, but they liked the band member that was up there on the stage, you know. So, so he came to learn some things about himself in his life, too. Bob is the friend. You know, we're going to hear these stories tonight, but, you know, he really was the best. He could really make you laugh. He told great stories. His whole life, to me, I've known him 33 years, it was like an adventure. And, you know, when he would talk about the different things he would do and places he would go, it really was an adventure, and he really had a lot of enthusiasm for what he did, whatever it was. And he put himself in 110%. You know, whatever he was going to be into, he was in it. And he was always there for me also. I had my own time with cancer in my life, and he was there for me. He came to the hospital with me, he went with the doctors. There were some other difficult times in my life that he was there, and he was always someone you could count on. I mean, and it's so weird now, because I think, oh, you know, something happens, I think, oh, I'd love to tell Bob, and he's not going to be here, you know, for me to tell him. But I know he's still listening, so I can still talk to him, and I know he's still listening. Another thing that I really loved about Bob was that he is someone, as a friend, who really always saw the best in me. And I think he touched a lot of people that way. He would look past all the stuff that was going on and just remind you of what the good parts were in you, so you would remember and feel good about yourself, no matter what might be going on in your life. The other thing I know about Bob, just like Carl said, he was really always looking for enlightenment, as long as I've known him. When I first met him, that summer he learned to meditate, and then I learned to meditate about 1.5 years later. And that's always really been a blessing and a grounding in my own life, meditation and prayer. And I'm thankful to Bob so deeply for having brought that into my life. And he's always been looking for it, and I really feel like he's probably finally there. And as sad as I am that he's not here with us, I look forward to someday seeing him again, and we can share stories about our adventures. And he'll just be there just like he always has been for me. So that's it. That's everything about Bob for me. So next.